I think it's time to fight a dragon. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to More Delicious in Dungeon. And I'm not going to specify a number here. Because here's the deal. This is going to be either one or two episodes, because that's what I have downloaded. And I was told that these next three episodes are technically like a three-parter. I guess it's like the first core of the season ended with this like three-part finale, and was like, I guess, like the final part of all of this shiz going on. But while that may be the case, I don't know if I'm going to end up doing more than one today. I'm not going to do all three. I can tell you that for sure. I just don't want to spend all that time, if I'm being completely honest. Because I'm pre-recording a movie on this same day, so yeah, just I don't want to do three. And I'm leaving it until the reaction itself to determine whether or not I do one or two. We're going to start with one, which is episode 11, I believe. Let me check. Yeah, 11. We're going to start with episode 11 and kind of go from there. Just kind of take it as it goes and see how I'm feeling after this first episode. And then we can determine, okay, do I want to continue right now? Certain things can affect that, like if it leaves off on a specific cliffhanger that I don't want to wait for, yada yada. But we shall see. Either way, we have reached the castle town. We are about to, activate this trap and everything except for the dragon. Everything is kind of led to this point now. We've built up to this. We're trying to save Fallon and everything. This has been what the entire first half of this season has been building towards. So, kind of a big deal. Very excited to see how this goes. Very excited to see, like, this plan probably not go entirely well, if we're being honest. And I'm kind of wondering if we're going to have any allies like Namari come in and help save the day. Genuinely wondering about that. But before we worry about that, I think we should just see how this ends up starting out. I'm very excited. This has been a fantastic series so far. Let's get into this. So, I was about to do the old entire spiel about, like, when the video fades to black thing, that I don't do anymore. Let's just get into this. Ignore my stupidity. Let's get into this episode. Cutting in here real quick to remind you that we have a lot of great content to check out on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Friday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday, as well as Let's Plays every day of the week. We switch on and off every day between Horizon and Baldur's Gate 3 and have Anno Mutationum on Saturdays. Please don't forget to click the link in the description below to follow it to today's reaction. We redirect everything just due to copyright. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the video and the channel, respectively. And I hope you have a great time with today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, first off, yeah, the lighting's been very inconsistent because it's like dark and rainy out there. It was like raining a lot last night too. And it's just continued into today, so a lot of cloud cover, not a lot of light. Had to turn on my ring light. Anyway, So yeah, this definitely seems like it kind of closes out the first half of this season. This definitely feels like the end to the first core. But apparently the next episode's technically part of it too, from what I was told. Um, so maybe the first core was 13. No, because there's 24 episodes, right? So if it were 12 and 12, it would be exactly the same. But if the first core is 13 episodes, then the second core would only be 11. Huh. I don't know. Maybe the next episode's just the start of the next arc, and it just continues off of where this one like left off on the cliffhanger. I don't know. Either way, let's talk about this. So this basically concluded for now. Um, the first arc and the main what's the word? Not plot. The main goal that our characters had to rescue Fallon, take out the Red Dragon, yada yada. Um, the first episode was dedicated to fighting the dragon and then saving Fallon. The second episode was basically um, the aftermath, which led into the big reveal at the end of the elf who it was kind of implied is like an episode or two ago was is like the Great Mage or whatever it's called, the one who created the dungeon in the first place. And we know this dragon is a mage, so it actually makes sense. But yeah, the first of these two episodes ended with them like killing the dragon and finding Fallon's skull and everything. And this one started, episode 12 started with the resurrection via Marcella's black magic. And then again, the aftermath and everything. So, let's talk about the dragon fight. Let's start with that from episode 11. The dragon fight was a lot quicker than I kind of expected. Like I said, I thought it would be like pretty much the entire first episode here, in the entirety of episode 11. But it actually was a lot shorter than I expected. And I think that's smart because it's like, how long can you really drag that out? I feel like there's a lot of shows or whatnot that would try to make like that like this big thing and drag it out for an entire episode, but I feel like it's better to not, especially with characters like this who, let's be honest, are maybe not the most skilled all the time. They're kind of dumbasses, if we're being honest. And a lot of times they kind of survive by the skin of their teeth. So it would have to make sense, I feel, that that this fight wouldn't last long. But on top of that, it would have to be won via some kind of like ridiculous trick or maneuver or whatnot. And that's kind of what happened. Leos's kind of last ditch plan, his reckless move, was to sacrifice his own leg in order to be able to reach the dragon's weak spot. And it worked. It worked wonders. He lost his leg, but it was restored because that's just the thing that we can do. um, the fight with the dragon itself was pretty much what I expected. I didn't expect things to go super well. I didn't expect their carefully laid out plan to be like flawlessly executed. The fact that it kind of went to shit and didn't work out pretty well is like, yeah, that just makes sense. Um, so I really had no issues with any of that. That went exactly where I thought it was going to go. I like though that it was during this fight that Chilchuk learned about Kensuke and everything. I think that was a fun, interesting idea to throw a little more tension in the mix. And yeah, it really was a fun fight. And then afterwards, having to cut through the dragon to try and find Fallon and finding out that she was like converted into fuel for the dragon fire and has been mostly digested. All that's left are the bones. Like I said in the reaction, there is something that I do know about. And again, I didn't know any context to how it would happen or whatnot. And I'm not going to go into any detail here just in case. But there is something I did know about because I'd seen, like, again, like a few seconds of a clip. And I've seen a cosplay. So it's like, yeah, I kind of had an idea of something that was coming, but again, no context how that would happen. And I don't even know exactly when that is going to happen anyway. I don't know when that's going to come into play. But there is, with the black magic resurrecting Fallon and everything, I can kind of see how this is going to get to that point now. And especially with the warg bones being in there as well. So, yeah. That's pretty interesting. Not to mention the dragon flesh and blood, by the way. But Fallon is resurrected. She doesn't have much of any memories about specifically, like, right before her death. Which is interesting. I do wonder if that's going to come back to her. Or if she's just going to remain this way. But more importantly, she is okay. And she is conscious and she knows who she is. She knows who the people around her are. That's good. She is herself. That's the main point here. I'm very, very interested to see, like, where this goes next, especially with the cliffhanger we have. Let's talk about that real quick. I know we're skipping stuff, but let's talk about the cliffhanger. So, like, the other episode with Namari and everything, it was 9 or 10. We had the one guy who Namari was working for and everything, right? And he was talking to this other guy about the Mad Mage. That's what it was. The Mad Mage who created the dungeon. And he was, like, going through the elvish writing, and it's like, oh, was the Mad Mage an elf and everything? And it's like, that, like, instantly made me think of, is the Mad Mage that elf? The one who, like, I very clearly knew was going to be important because of how he was presented. So if you don't remember, I don't know what it was, like episode 4 or 5 or something like that. There was this these living paintings that Lio sent her to try and find food. And the paintings depicted the kingdom that would eventually become this dungeon throughout different periods of time. And Laios would basically be in those periods of time, in the, I guess you could say, the echoes of those time periods, not actually like going back in time, but in the echoes of it through the paintings. And in all of those periods of time, while seeing this, like, this king and his son who ended up becoming the next king and everything, Laios ended up also seeing a certain elf in every single iteration of that, every single time period. But the elf also saw him. And so in the final one, the elf confronted and was about to attack and probably kill him using magic. I think it was fire magic, I believe. And so Laios managed to escape, but it was very clear that this elf character is excessively important. And I was even told, like, apparently the elf is male, because it's hard to tell because he's androgynous. But apparently, I guess in like the manga, when it was like adapted into English and all, they initially adapted him with she/her pronouns because it couldn't tell. So that's pretty interesting. I was told something about that too. I don't remember the exact details, but Either way, um, and then like again, a couple episodes ago, it's like it brings the elf. It brings up elfish stuff again and talks about the mad mage who created the dungeon. And it's like, could they be an elf? It's like, okay, we know of an elf that is very clearly extremely important to the story that we've been teased for. It's gotta be, right? This elf is a mage. Did seem pretty mad, as in crazy, not angry. But yeah, um, I think it has to be. And now we have the elf appearing again at the end of this episode, at the end of episode 12 here. It's like it has to be. There's no other reasonable explanation here. That has to be the Mad Mage. That makes me have a lot of questions as to like the purpose of turning this kingdom and castle town and everything into a dungeon. I have a lot of questions regarding that. And the Mad Mage now has seen like Marcil's black magic circle and everything. The dead dragon is right there. It's like probably going to put a lot together. I wonder if he's going to like actually have a big role to play in the next episode, or if this is still another tease. I'm genuinely wondering how this is going to be continued at this point. Like I said, it's a really good lead off into the next episode that's going to really make me excited for next week. But the last thing I want to cover here is the queerness. Like, back in the episode where it showed Marcel and Fallon's backstory together, it was very clear to me that there was a lot of shipping fuel there. Like, a lot. And it's not just because, oh, two characters are interacting with each other. It actually read to me as specifically shipping fuel in how it was presented and everything. And so I was waiting to see more, and it's like we see like how Marcel has like been probably outside of Laios the most dedicated to getting Fallon back, and how she's talked about that and all. But then in this episode, once it actually happens, it's like, I mean, first of all, she was willing to use black magic, which she hadn't really told anyone about up to this point. She was willing to just bring that out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, I'm going to use black magic now to bring her back, and it's like, shit, well, all right. It's like that, she just brings that up, like, just really suddenly, and it's like, yeah, I can do this, I've been studying this shit. Without you guys really knowing. Laios kind of had a little bit of information, but not a lot. It's like the fact that she was so quickly and readily willing to go to that. And then, of course, the bath scene and everything. Also, her reaction to Fallon being okay. Again, she was crying a lot more than Laios was. And Laios was very clearly happy that she was back. I mean, that was his major goal. Absolutely, and we saw him like hug her multiple times because of it. He like, especially in the scene where he's like telling her, "Don't do something like that again. Don't be reckless like that again. I can't lose you again." Basically, it's like Marcel's reaction was definitely different, and it wasn't like a friend reaction. It was very clearly gay as fuck. But then you have the bath scene. Like, everything in that scene was so actively queer coded. It's like Yuri on Ice. It's like it's that kind of gay. It's that level of gay. And Yuri on Ice is explicitly gay. Like, Yuri on Ice is, like, in your face about it. It doesn't hide the fact that it's gay. That bath scene was gayer than, I think, most of Given. And Given, again, is explicitly gay. That bath scene was super fucking gay. There is no other way to read that. Like, the way both of them looked at each other. And I'm not talking about their faces being kind of flushed and everything, because that was clearly from the warm bath and everything. I'm not talking about like, oh, they're blushing at each other. No, no, no. It was the way they were looking at each other. They had these longing, loving looks in their faces, both of them, toward each other. It's like, honestly, like, you could tell me that these two have been in a committed relationship all their lives, and I would believe you. They read that way to me. Like, I practically see them as a couple already. And again, I don't think anything's going to come from this, like I said in the reaction. This is definitely one of those situations where I feel the show's just not really going to go into that kind of thing. It's not really that kind of show, I feel. But at the same time, I do feel that the creator knew what they were doing when they wrote that into the manga. I presume that was in the manga as well. I presume that's not anime only. And if it is, if somehow that were anime only, which it doesn't feel like it would be. It feels like that would be something that would have to be in the manga. If that were anime only, though, that would be insane, because it's like, that feels so necessary for the series. Like I said, with the fan service and everything being so excessively well done, that it feels like you could not take that out without hurting the series. That is a necessity for the series. But it's like, yeah, I assume this is in the manga like this, and it's like, for a series that isn't heavy on fan service at all, it's like, that just feels like that's kind of really hammering in the idea that these two have feelings for each other. And it's like, I've seen like some fan art of like Laios and Marcel as a couple and stuff, and it's never felt right to me, even before like this and stuff, even before the backstory with Marcel and Fallon. It's never felt right to me. Like, Marcel and Laios do not in any way, shape, or form read as a couple. I feel like people ship them simply because main male character, main female character. That's it. Because they do not read as a couple in the slightest. In fact, they actively don't. Like, it feels like it's actively wrong to see them as a couple. Like, they're good friends, but that's it. Reading any further than that just feels like completely wrong to me. It just doesn't make any sense. But you see the way that she and Fallon interact, and it's just like, these two are practically a couple as it is. So it's like, I do not understand people who ship Laios and Marcel. It's like, are you just so dedicated to your ships being heteronormative that you're like deluding yourself into thinking there's anything there? Because there's not. There is absolutely zero chemistry, romantic chemistry between them. In fact, I'd say it's in the negatives even. It's like, again, it feels actively wrong, even the idea of shipping them together. Like, they would not be a good couple. It just does not work. It's just, it is so, this was like so fucking gay. It's insane. And listen, I know I'm not the only one who has seen this, because I have seen the fan art, and I'm not talking safe for work. I have seen some porn, to put it simply, of Fallon and Marcel. Not a lot, because I have avoided enough because I don't want to see spoilers and all. But I've seen some of Fallon and Marcel. And it's like there's people who definitely ship them. And I've seen art of them, just regular safe for work art too. But I know that people have shipped them. But it's very clear why now. It's just like I just didn't realize it was going to be that explicitly gay. Like the only way to make it gayer is for them to literally say so. That's literally the only further they could go with it. There is no other step they could go besides just literally these two looking each other's eyes and saying, "I'm gay for you, kiss me, you fool." They are that close. It is pretty explicit. But anyway, this was a really good set of episodes. They were really well done. Also, I think that episode 11 was the only episode that hasn't had any kind of cooking in it. Like, there was the cooking knife used to cut open the dragon stuff, but there was no cooking in it. And I might be wrong. It's possible, but I think it's the only episode that hasn't had any level of like cooking or preparing food in it at all. If I am wrong, please correct me. I'm fine with that, but I think it is. Which is wild to think about. But, I mean, I understand why. They were kind of preoccupied. There was not really any time. But, yeah. Just an interesting little thing I noticed. Yeah, really good set. Like I said, that cliffhanger at the end of episode 12 whets my appetite for next week. Very excited to see where this goes. So, sorry again for the lighting. Again, it's, like, really dark. You might even be able to hear the rain on camera, because it's loud enough. I mean, you might be able to hear that. But yeah, it is raining pretty hard out there. There's a lot of cloud cover. That's why it's so dark. That's why I have the light on. But yeah, so sorry about that. Not really anything I can do. Thank you for tuning in anyway. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.